Hello, sir. Good afternoon and welcome to Chennai Times' show today.
Hi.
It's 20 years of GVM and also 20 years of Minile and where everything started. So, can you tell us how you feel? Or, I mean, we know that it feels surreal for all of us. So, does it feel like it's been 20 years?
Yes, I think every film of mine is like a first film, first day's work sort of thing. That's how I've looked at it. Especially over the last 10 years, it really feels like I'm making my first film with the kind of work that I've had to do to get that film going and sorting out some issues and to get that film going and all that. So it feels like a first film. So maybe because of that, and I'm not trying to be modest here, maybe because of that, it looks like, it's just yesterday that we started filming for Minale and it's just been maybe a couple of days. That's all, honestly, it looks like. But yes, I know it's been 20 years in that sense when I look back at all these films and working with all the lovely actors that I've had a chance to work with and all. It feels really good. I must say it feels really good for sure. Yeah.
So, when you revisit the movie today, what are some of your thoughts?
Minnale, strangely, I don't look at it like my first film. Kaka Kaka is my first film as far as in my head is concerned. Also because maybe I was like in a team of 11, I was the last down, last order batsman coming into play. Minnale, everything was set up for me. Madhavan did most of the opening partnership thingy where he set up the producer and he sort of envisioned the project to be a certain way and all that. And I must thank him for that, and I have. So he set up writers, and he also started some music work before Harris came in. He was so involved with the project, the story, and all that. I was there. Yes, it was a story that I had set up, and I had written it based on the writer's suggestions and a lot of people's suggestions. I'd wanted Vivek to write the dialogues and all. So everybody was involved. I took it forward, but somehow I feel it was just me being there with everybody else, sort of, doing a lot more. I wanted certain things to be a certain way, and I got that. But at some point, Madhavan and Rima didn't sort of speak to each other, and then we couldn't get them together for a couple of song sequences. So I had to shoot all that separately, and even when the film released, the Hindi version was set up by Madhavan only actually. So yes, Minnale, I'm looking back and I feel good about the film. There are lots of people who still call and talk about it. And Rainatri Dilme also, even though it didn't really become a big hit when it released in theaters, went on to play many number of times on television and sort of became, cult there also, I think. The songs have been really appreciated and all that. So for me, Minnale ideally would be the songs of Harris Jayaraj, Bombay Jayashree's Vasigra, the association with Tamarai, and then working with Madhavan and Rima Sen and Vivek and Nagesh sir in that order, So yeah.
So, when you envisioned the film, what was the first thread of thought? Like a one liner or something?
So it was actually a story that I narrated to Maddie at a very casual, friendly meeting at some, I think it was a restaurant or something where a lot of Mani sir's team members were there and I was there and I knew all of them and we were all talking. They introduced me to Madhavan. If I remember right, Siddharth was there and Shiva Kumar was there, and also they introduced me, and then we got talking, and then I narrated. He said, "What do you have? Do you have any interesting stories?" And also, I said, "I have a story of two friends who study in college together, and they move apart, and they're not so much in touch now, and then this one guy meets this girl and realizes that she is actually all set to marry the other guy, and he's got about 5 days to spend time with her, and because they haven't really seen each other, so he impersonates. So he kind of tells her that he is him. He pretends to be this guy and gets to spend 5 days with her in a nice sort of a way. He draws a line and makes sure it's all proper and all that. And Maddie liked that. But somewhere in the discussion, it became two guys who couldn't stand each other in college. So these were changes that the writer, team brought in, and then I was okay with it, and I made more changes and stuff like that. So that was the idea of the film.
Right. Also, now when you look back at the movie, when you made it, did you expect it to be a break for you?
No film I expected to be either a make or break sort of film. In that sense, I have no idea. You make it. It's for me. It's content going out into the world, and you wait for the response and the vibe that comes back to tell you whether it's working or not. Everything is on a impulse. It's on a whim, sort of a thing. The whole way I've filmed, the way I write, the way I get my music, nothing is planned. Nothing is set up thinking, okay, this will be a super hit. And I've also worked with people who also been in that space. Like when Rahman sir gave me Talli Pogadi, he asked me many times, I don't know if this will work. It's very quirky. Should we do something else and all that? imagine somebody of his stature, you know. So I realized that it was nice to work with people like that, and I'm also like that, right? So I vibe really well with people like that is all I'm trying to say. So I have no idea. We make it. Like I said, it's content going out into the world, and you'll get the vibe on day one whether it's working or not. Yeah.
And how did you feel on, I mean, the day one of Minale?
Very good, because we were all in the theaters from early morning at Devi. The whole team was there. I remember Rajshekar. So Rajshekar was the cinematographer of the film, with whom I've spent a lot of time before during my pre-filmmaker days as like a struggling filmmaker, so to speak. I used to spend a lot of time at his house discussing stories and what kind of films to make, and film appreciation sort of happened, in that close space with me and Rajshekar talking about films. That's the angle that I tried to bring between Simbu and VTV Ganesh and Vinitandi Varuvaya. This guy is like a sort of a more than a buddy. He's more like he's like a mentor. They vibe, they connect, and then when they work together, sort of thing. So Rajshekar and I, we were in the theaters, doing our rounds and checking, and we had no idea. Yes, the people came to the theaters because the songs became really popular. First time combination, like Gautam Harris and Tamarai, and Wali sir also was there. But the songs became really popular, thankfully. And I think one of the trailers or something caught on, and Maddie had just released Alai Paide. When we went into filming Minnale, Alai Paide hadn't released, but when Minnale released, Alai Paide already released. There was another film called Ennavali that had come in between and didn't do well, but there was a lot of crowds that came to see this film. And the response that we got for every scene, was brilliant, I thought, which we didn't expect at all. For the comedy and for that 5 days at Love Potion that Maddie and Rima, the characters go through, there was a lot of response in the theaters for that. And we felt very good, very happy. Yeah.
Even while filming, you mentioned that you had to sort of like, draw the line because he was impersonating somebody else. So how important was that for you to keep in mind?
See, it was. I've spoken about it even recently with all the being woke about things and all that, right? So I know we did cross a few lines in terms of normally how it should be looked at, on screen, and these days being politically correct and all that stuff. But somewhere we didn't cross that one final line that would take it further. And I also would like to say that it's a zone of the film that matters. You're taking an audience into a certain kind of a film, in which you're showing certain things, which is okay, is all I'm thinking. A film like Nadnisi Nayagal might cross a few lines because you're talking about a guy who's mentally not stable, and his view or opinion about certain things or women is not the general opinion of people and mine. I'm portraying a character. So in that zone of the film, he's allowed to do a few things which might not be politically correct. So as long as you take the audience into that zone and tell them it's that zone, then it's fine, I think. So we were conscious. We did think about, at that stage as well, I remember Maddie asking me and me discussing with Maddie saying, let's keep it very aesthetic. It shouldn't be like you're a slasher, stalker kind of a guy, and there's something wrong with you. You're complex. You're an introvert, and maybe you don't speak so much to girls. So within that, you're like afraid to talk to her. Ideally, you would. So somewhere you need to figure out where she is and be in that space, which is wrong. But it's a zone of the film. That's all. Yeah.
Also, do you think that movie set a precedent for the kind of films that you would eventually make? Like relatable, meaningful, and wholesome romances, which sort of also explore interpersonal relationships in the film?
I think I've always wanted to do that. Even when I see films that weren't that earlier, before I became a filmmaker, I had issues with those kind of films, and I would vehemently argue with my peers and people like Rajshekar and all about why. Let's break that. It doesn't have to cater or pander to the star's image, right? No, you don't hit somebody and they fly in the air. That doesn't happen. Why do they have ropes to rig actors and lift them up? Why can't it just be you hit somebody, they fall down, right, and not fly? And apart from that, a lot of things that you mentioned, where women don't have a say at all in the films, and they're just, used for cute moments and stuff like that. I don't want to use the word Lusapunna, but that's the term that you guys have come up with, I think, ideally. So I've never believed in films like that. So I've always written, I think, strong characters, or at least women who have their say and who have a mind of their own. So the Minnale didn't pave the way. It was always going to be that. So Kaka Kaka was written much before Minnale. The character of Maya was written with Anbu Chelvan. What I didn't have was the climax and where it would go, and probably the whole gangster angle that came in. It could have been anything. It could have been drugs, or it could have been human trafficking, or anything. So what we did with Kaka Kaka, we came in once filming happened. But the character of Maya and about how she's so solid about this guy and the way she expresses her opinion to this guy was from the people that I know around me, and it was written way back.
Right.
So, yeah.
Also, 20 years back when you set out into the filmmaking world, what were some of the stories that you wanted to say as a filmmaker, or you envisioned yourself to be like 20 years down the line?
So I don't have a dream film, or like I told you earlier while we discussed before, there was no plan as such. I have no idea what I'm going to write. I take it forward in a very organic way, like how an audience who doesn't know about the film watches in the theater, right? He has no idea what the next scene is unless he's watching for a second time. So I like to take a script forward like that. So there was never a plan. But I wanted to tell, like you mentioned earlier, I wanted to tell very personal stories, relatable characters, and everything should be real. And you should identify with that. Now, there is a theory that you go to a theater to forget what is happening to you and maybe look at some fantasy sort of an idea unfolding. I don't believe in that so much. I feel people connect more to films and stories and with the filmmaker if what they're seeing on screen has happened in their lives and if they're able to relate to it. So Needhani and Ponvasandam actually worked for a lot of people who've been through something like that, with one person being at loggerheads at some point, moving apart, finding that person again and all that. Collectively, it didn't work maybe, but I know it worked for a lot of people in that space. And I'm happy about that, So I'd like to connect with people.
Sure.
Yeah.
And has your process changed along the way in terms of your storytelling?
No, I like to follow the same pattern process. I write with voiceovers in my head. Sometimes I do away with them while at post-production stage, but mostly I write the same way. It's always a hero's voice or a woman's voice that takes a story forward for me. And sometimes your strength becomes your weakness, and I will keep pushing at it till I know it's my weakness, sort of thing. Yeah.
So what is the interest there in terms of the voiceover?
I have no idea. I think I've grown up on watching films like that. There are a lot of films that I can offhand tell you that had this, deep voice sort of narrating the story and taking it forward. People think it's comfort zone where you can do away with some. It's not that. It's still the medium of audio and video, right? So you take a story forward through words, and then you show visual imagery also. Like in my head, there's always Shawshank Redemption and Morgan Freeman's voice running through all the time. So.
Sure. That was the inspiration.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So do tell us about, the Mani Ratnam and Raji Menon influences in your earlier days.
So Mani Ratnam completely, because I saw Nayagan and something happened. It was love, actually. You meet a girl and you speak to her a couple of times, and then, or maybe even before that, some spark set off in you and then you want to meet her again. That's honestly what happened when I saw Nayagan. Something happened to me. Some images opened up in my head, and I revisited the film many times afterwards with a notebook in my hand and a pen to figure out what the shots are like and where the camera is moving and why has this actor done this and why is the dialogue here like this, why is the level of sound here like that. So I tried to study the director's work there. And I realized I wanted to be a filmmaker. This was through 11th, 12th and first year in college and all that stuff. I didn't know there was a film institute at that point where I could go and study. So engineering seemed to be an option to go in. And, my film appreciation, my knowledge in Tamil, I learned a lot more in Tamil during college. But it was only Mani Ratnam's films that really moved me. And like I remember watching Bombay many times in theaters, and people would look at me strangely because I would write down scenes and shots of scenes and all that stuff. Like I would just sit, okay, this, like that. And I would do that, and... for me, I learned my filmmaking by watching his film. So that was it was my book, so to speak. It was my journal or whatever, that his films. And then I wanted to work with him. So when I finished my engineering and I was working in the engineering side, I used to go to his office every day to meet him, to try and get to work with him. I met everybody else but him. I would see him walking in and out and all that. So when I saw Nayagan, I've said this also recently, I saw, the names that really worked for me were Kamal Haasan, P.C. Sriram, Ilayaraja, Mani Ratnam, right? And I wanted to work with all four of them. And I've done that. So Mani sir, I haven't worked with, but in my head, he's my mentor. And I've been associated with him in terms of just me being me and him being him. We've talked, we spent some time together. And so it completely sort of makes me walk on the ground sort of a thing. The conversations with him keep my feet on the ground. And that's so very important, which is why randomly also I try and connect with him, if there's any given opportunity. Rajiv sir, I learned the craft from because I worked with him. And it was an experience to work on a big film with AVM producing it and Prabhudeva and Kajol. But what I learned more from Rajiv was to not be an introvert, you know. So I learned that if you have to really get your ideas across, I ideally would have been very quiet and I would have gone very softly and spoken to people because that was me at that stage. But I saw Rajiv telling Prabhudeva how to dance, you know, he would show them, you know, very vociferously on the sets. And I loved that. And I was shocked, you know, and he would yell at Kajol. And I was like, how can you do that, you know, in my head? And he would yell at everybody, but to get work done sort of a way, you know. So I realized you have to be a little vociferous like that, you know, and there has to be that attitude about you. And I learned that from him. I broke out of those shackles once I saw how Rajiv directed the film,
Right.
you know, so yeah.
Any particular experience that sort of stands out for you with your experience with Rajiv?
Lots of moments. I mean, most of the time we were all very scared of him because he would just, you know, yell. All for work to be done and if he found you lacking at your work, you know. So Abhi and I, we worked together. A.L. Abhinandran is like a really good friend and an associate director with Rajiv at that point. So I used to palm off a lot of work to him saying, "I'm already pona katwara ni pannu macha, please da," and all that. I would stay behind the camera and behind Rajiv. So if he looks around, he won't find me because I'd keep moving behind him like that. So I remember that constantly. Of course, I watched him at work. I learned a lot by looking at him and all that stuff. But I would try and remain, you know, right behind his back so that he couldn't see me much. Yeah.
Was that also where, I mean, he's also a very musical filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about because I mean, your movies are very obviously musical.
Yeah.
So do tell us about
I think I learned the importance of music and how it can drive a film from him. He was so passionate about that. He would talk raga, he would talk, you know, the pitch of the song, genre of the song and all that extensively. He would sing, you know, and he would sing the tune to us before it even came to us. Okay. You know, so I realized how musically driven he is. And it was all inside me. I've grown up to a lot of music in my house and there's constant discussion whenever a song plays, even though everybody else is doing whatever they're doing. My mom would talk about a particular song or that song, either Jikki or a voice da. Either on the TMS partner part. And also for me, those voices got into my head. Like any song you play, I can tell you who's the singer right now from yesteryears, from old singers, you know. So there was a lot of music in me, but it was all within me. But Rajiv sir sort of opened that out. And I remember after we finished Minsara Kanavu, and then I came back to edit something that I'd shot in his studio because Anthony was editing out of his studio and I was not working with him anymore. He came and played the songs of Kandu Kondain for me. I was not working on the unit anymore, but he came and played Kandu Kondain, and he sang that. And he would tell me this song is similar to the ragam that is used in the Nenjil Ningada. So somewhere it opened up for me about ragas and all because of Rajiv and the way he would talk about music. So I started analyzing songs. Raja sir's big fan and all that stuff. So a lot of those songs I would pick up to figure out what songs are in the same ragam and all that. You know, all this because it was sort of set off by the way Rajiv would speak. Right. And I remember Rajiv sir telling me that it's also important to know this, Gautam, because most of the directors don't know anything about music. I'm sure you will be able to come up with good songs, but will you know what goes into making a song? Do you know the ragam behind the song? That intrigued me to find out every song that I worked on, that I should know what the song is about and where it originated from and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Is that important for the movie?
I felt it was very important for me as a person to know musically what we're doing.
Yeah. And how important is it for you to sort of like merge the music with the movie and the story, the heart of the story?
So thankfully for myself, I write it in the script. It's there's no question of sneaking a song in there at all. When I write the script, like I spoke to you, the scene is described musically by me, which is where I realized this should be a song. So till then it'll be dialogues and everything, and then I'll say now a series of montages with Simbu and with Jesse and Karthik sort of sneaking into each other's houses, and they meet on the terrace and they sit quietly, they sneak a kiss there, and then she's in a supermarket, she gives him a call and he goes there and he walks around, they shop together, he pulls out stuff and puts it in a bag, and then they say bye to each other. Somewhere they meet on the end of the road, they get on the bike, she puts her hand on her shoulder. So this is written.
Okay.
This is written fully. And then I say this is musical. And then I figure out what kind of genre the song should be and how much of length it should be. So this is what I will narrate to Rahman sir for him to be inspired. Now this particular song that I'm talking to you about is Manipaya. And I didn't know this song because I told him that I need a song here and stuff. He said, okay, Panla. நான் ஃப்ரீயால எப்பயாவது ஒன்று பண்ணலாம், he'd say. And then without me being in the loop, he called Tamarai and said, let's surprise him with a song. நீங்க வாங்க. And he composed Manipaya, wrote it with her. And over 4 days கழிச்சு they played the song to me. It was like a surprise, because I didn't expect it to happen at that point. So I remember this, very like it happened yesterday.
Yeah. And how did you react to this?
Oh, I was overwhelmed completely. I mean, it was A.R. Rahman doing that, so I was completely overwhelmed. Yeah.
So, I mean, would you ever dream of making a non-musical film though?
So I did, right? Although I think it was way ahead of its time, Nadunisi Naigal. I felt there was no need for any musical strain in that film. It is not a music illam onu pannalam, or people think my songs are only working in every film of mine, so let's do a film without song. It wasn't that. When I wrote the script, I felt there was no need to sneak a song in because it didn't require. And then, like I described a scene earlier to you, and I felt it needed to be treated musically. There, I didn't feel the need for any music. Then I realized there's no need for even a musical strain to be heard in the soundtrack of the film. Like two people are sitting and talking. Obviously, he's trying to get the girl to come to him so that he can, at some point, do what he wants with her in an adverse way, right? So why to treat it musically? And if I'm going to treat it with ominous music playing, then they know that something is up. So I decided there's no music in that film at all, And we work completely with just the sound effects and dialogues and all that. And if a script comes around like that, then I would take that call for sure. Yeah.
Would you also want to do like a very Hollywood-esque musical?
Yeah, I thrive on musicals like that. I mean, La La Land. And so I think most of our films are that, right? I mean, if they look at Vinithandi Baruvaya, where every now and then the hero sort of jumps over the gate, is with men walking around, walking in tandem in the rhythm with him and all. So it's musical, right? I'm sure Vinithandi is La La Land. That's it. Actually, Vinithandi is to a large extent. If you look at the climax of, La La Land, it's a very Vinithandi-esque kind of a treatment.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm out there, but I somehow found that beautiful connect with both the films, I'm saying. Yeah.
Also, speaking about music, how important is it for you to form relationships with the composers? Because, be it Rahman sir, or Darbukka Siva, Harris, or Ilaiyaraaja sir, how...
That's probably why I've only worked with these names that you mentioned. Because there is a vibe. I feel that connect with them, and that's very important. So when I went to launch a Darbukka Shiva album called Kidari, we were in Kovilpatti and we were discussing, and the way he spoke to me about music and that particular songs of Kidari, something connected with me. So when Rahman sir said no to Enivaki Payamtota because of time and all that, I straight away went to Shiva, and they all expect me to go to somebody else, like maybe on a bigger level, but I just went to Shiva, who's really big, in terms of the way he looks at music and stuff for me. So I just connected with him. I showed him the visuals of ENPT and said, I want Maruvarte kind of a song here. I want one song here. And he really fell in place with me, Raja sir, of course, legendary. I've grown up listening to his songs. I know most of his songs, And so for me, it was more like I have to get this done, and I have to be in that space. And it's turned out to be such a beautiful experience where I learned about music. I learned how a song is produced so organically by somebody of his stature, which made me go back to actually looking at musical notes and studying. And so I've done that also, and I'm still doing that, right? So that awareness came in after I met Raja sir. Harris is a great friend, and I can connect with him anytime. With Rahman sir, there's a lot of reverence, and there's a lot of, it's a spiritual connect, without being anything else, I'm saying. We just talk music and films and, very casual conversation that happens. But there is an aura there, when you walk in and walk out, and I love that. I love to be in that space. So I look forward to that every time I go there. Yeah.
Also, speaking about Nadunisi Naigal and the genre, movies can also be clubbed into, various trilogies. Romance, you have VTV, Minale, and NEP, and cop thrillers, and also action thrillers, right? So do you plan this, or, what sort of attracts you to these themes?
It comes around, I think, except Yenai Arindal was like a discussion between Ajit and me where he said, Vetiyadu Vilayadu Madri onu panna, I might be keen, he said. So I had anyway made Vetiyadu as an extension of Kaka Kaka. Different actors, but somewhere Anbu Chellan could be Raghavan at some point. So I thought Raghavan could be Satyadev. Age groups don't matter, but it's the same character as far as I am concerned, So within that format was how Yenai Arindal was written. So there was a sort of a plan. Except I don't know where the writing was going. So that is always there. But otherwise, it just comes, it happens, I think. This clubbing of these films just generally happens because it's from the same filmmaker, that's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, you've spoken about taking experiences from your own life and putting it into movies. Could you speak about that?
I think every film is that.
Yeah.
So, except maybe Nadunisi Naigal, I'm not saying maybe, except Nandu Singh Nayagal, most of the other characters and the way they speak, the stories about them, the episodes are all from mostly life. If it's between two people, so far it has been from life. The way a conversation unfolds, something somebody says is something that I might have heard, said, or I've seen it happen around me for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that sense, do you have a genre that you would want to explore in the future? Do you have something like that?
No, so I know so now I can talk about 20 years of work. I've done 10 years of work that I really wanted to do. The next 10 years was stuff that I had to do for various reasons. And I didn't like that, because ideally you make a film because you want to say a story, you want to put out a story, you want to say something. And you take away something, and the audience also takes away something from the film, right? You don't make films because you have to make a film. There is a problem, so you have to make a film. And then what story? So that is not an organic way of making a film. And I've done that over the past 10 years, I think. Now I'm sorted, things are really okay and much better, and I'm in a great space in terms of being creative and with the doors that are opening and all that, like we discussed earlier. So I'm in a great space. But now I'm thinking I'll go down a completely, not consciously, but a very different path sort of a thing. I want to explore rural subjects. I want to take on characters like that. I am in discussion. I've traveled. I've met a few people. When we filmed Power Kadegal, I did meet a few people there. I spent some more time there to figure out if I could make something on those lines, So I want to explore different characters like that. I don't know if I will ever try fantasy. I have a sort of a period film in 1935 that's set in 1935, which I want to make, but it's still a cop robber drama sort of a thing at that point, which I am setting up again. I have something that's written by my colleague Reshma, which is about four friends who travel to meet a fifth friend's to go for a fifth friend's wedding, and this is a road trip across the world sort of a thing, So it's a great script, and I want to explore that. That will still be different within my own, sort of yeah. So yeah.
And do tell us about GVM, the actor, and where it all started.
So very reluctantly is GVM the actor, I think, getting in. I'm sorry to use my own name there, but Trans was because it was a great unit, a great crew that I've always looked up to. I love Fahad's work, and then Anwar Rashid's work as a filmmaker and as a producer. You've heard so much about him. So when they met me and spoke to me about this film, I didn't think twice, because for me it was like 10 days of let's see what kind of work these guys do, so let's learn a few things. Honestly, it was a door opening for that, and Amal Neeraj cinematography. And I know how much of work they put into every shot, It's not just something that's casually set up at all. Every shot, there's a lot of discussion. Time is not wasted, but everything goes into getting that shot ready. I know what kind of preparation Fahad does 15 minutes before a shot, And everything becomes quite automatically because of the respect for the work that he's putting in, and not even for the stature of the actor, I'm saying. Automatically, you don't have to yell silence, I'm saying. So there was so much to learn, and I realized that I patted myself on the back for taking that call to do that film. And then Kannum was also a good unit that came after me, plotting and trying to get me on board. And I did that for the team. And it worked well, but I'm reluctant. I don't get up in the morning looking at my face thinking I'm an actor, so what do I do today? But those inhibitions I'm losing to a large extent, So in front of the camera, I don't have any inhibitions, I think. If some good roles come up, and if it makes sense for them and for me, then I don't mind doing those films. Yeah.
What are some of the things you learned in front of the camera?
That is very difficult to be an actor, and a lot more respect happened at that point. I stopped getting I don't yell, rant, rave, scream, but I get a little flustered when an actor is not able to deliver, right? Only because it saps your energy. After 5-6 days, you start losing objectivity, nothing else. But then after putting myself in front of the camera in a sync sound sort of a situation and acting in front of like so many people, telling you, and you do it your way, when the director comes and tells you, let's do something else, but then you have to forget what you did now, which is your organic way of acting, and you're doing something else that he's asking you to do, right? From then on, great respect for actors. Right. And I stopped thinking I should get flustered, on the sets. Honestly, I'm saying, yeah.
Sure. Okay. Do you think that will also change like a perspective when you also direct actors?
It's already started, no? It already starts. That's what I'm saying. I stopped getting flustered, Yeah. I absolutely respect actors now. Not that I didn't, but now I realize how it is in front of the camera. It's easy to tell them what to do when you move away. But finally to do that, to remember your continuity, to remember, not to be inhibited and not to be worried about so many people, to lose your inhibitions is a great thing, I think,
Right.
So, yeah.
Also, looking back at these 20 years, I know that this is a very heavy question, but how do you think the industry has changed Also personally for you and in your filmmaking as well?
It's not changed at all. It's not changed at all. Content wise, yes, there's a lot of changes that have happened pre-COVID, and if at all we can say post-COVID, yes. In terms of content, I think even the big stars will look at their content very differently now. It's going to be very difficult to get the audience to the theater because even though things have opened up, they only want to come if they feel the content is going to be great. So the stars can't really get away with doing their thing, I feel. So that way things have changed. But in terms of still distributors and how they look at films and how they put a preconceived amount for every film is all the same. Nothing has changed from day one till the yesterday, I'm saying. And maybe in terms of technology, yes, from film we moved to digital. We didn't embrace it initially. We were all very hesitant, and then we actually lapped it up, and we are thriving with that right now. It's become so easy in filmmaking right now. So in terms of all that, which everybody knows, things have changed. But the way the generally industry looks at films, it's nothing much has changed. Nothing much has changed, I feel. Yeah.
And even when you're working with the big stars, how different is your process, or is it not? What do you
Ideally not.
Okay.
Ideally not. I wouldn't. I might sound pompous if I say this, but I'd like to not change too many things in the way I work, even if it's a star that's coming on board. And I was happy that Kamal sir saw it in Vettiyadu Vilayadu, and it was a very straight, stark film. And he's a superstar, but we didn't do anything to unnecessarily put him out there in that star way. Karka Karka was still a hero introduction song, but it was still in our zone, sort of thing. And Kamal sir really appreciated it and just gave it whatever we asked him for. So I'm hoping the superstars or the stars will get a little change in dimension if they come into a film of mine, but they're not easily convinced. So,
Right. Why do you think that is?
because they don't want to go through that change, I think. Yeah.
Do you think audiences also are sort of like changing their views as to what their big stars movie should look like?
I think it's changing to a large extent. Yeah.
Even
And
in Master, there was that debate, right? Like
yes,
superstar looking
yes. Yeah, audience, and I think there's the perception that this is what an audience will like has to go. You put out anything to them, they will be ready to accept it if it looks interestingly different content wise and stuff. But you're still saying idinge work avadu. In the audience ku puriyadundrathu thappu is what I feel. It'll work. Anything will work if you put it out with the right perspective.
Right. And post COVID and post lockdown, how are things looking?
Actually, right through the lockdown and just after, we've been working continuously. I wanted to tell a few stories. I wrote BTV 2, and within that, I pulled out a segment, and I thought I must put this out. Also it is for me to understand these two characters, and the whole comprehensive script is there, and lots of questions that people had when they saw that 12-minute film will all be answered in the feature film. How was she bold enough to talk to him, or why is he bold enough to talk to her, and all will be answered in the feature film. And it was funny to see those reactions that came up, and which is okay. I filmed here a music video which I wanted to film, and I also wanted to see, is this the new norm, with 5-6 people on board, can we do something? And but just more to understand if this is a new norm, and we pulled off a great job, I thought, with Shantanu and Kalei and Satish and Manoj and all that. And then Dhruvanakshatra is all set for release now, Vikram sir has to dub. And 2-3 big films are on the anvil, so it's in a great space, I think. I'm looking forward to going at it with all heart. Yeah.
So has this theme of unrequited romances sort of like always attracted you, even when you watched movies?
Because you've gone through that in life, right? At some point, and then it sort of stays in you, and then maybe, like my wife keeps joking, have you really gotten over that sort of thing? So yeah, maybe to answer your question, because it's in me, and it works for a lot of people, I think. So
Right.
yeah.
Also, do tell us about, 20 years, it comes with a sweet note where you announced that you'll be reuniting with Simbu and Rahman sir. So tell us about that project.
So we've been talking for some time, and then suddenly, sometimes everything falls in place. So Rahman sir and I have discussed a script, like even way back. In August, we were supposed to go for a composing session and all that. But things didn't fall in place. But now a good producer has come on board. We know the funding is in place, and Simbu's in a great space now. And there was no discussion at all. When I went back, Rahman sir said, when are we beginning? And he already has worked out tunes for me. We just have to figure out when we're going to start filming and what script it's going to be, because we put 2 scripts out there, and all of us like both these scripts. So we just have to pick one and start filming. That's all.
Sure, okay. And our last question to you. So, what would you tell Gautam, the filmmaker, 20 years back, right now, if you had the chance?
Oh, like when I made Minale,
Yeah.
you mean? I would have said, I would have said you're doing a great job. You lose all those inhibitions. Just go ahead, remember what Rajiv did, and just go ahead and make it happen. And I said that to myself then, and I'm going to say that again now. Yeah.
Thank you so much again for doing this and being such a great conversationalist.
Thank you. I hope you liked it and it works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Yeah.